Today's story is coming to you from Kansas City, Missouri. This happened on Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022. Please keep in mind that some of the details in this story is very disturbing. On Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022, police were dispatched to 35-year-old Tasha Haefs' house in Kansas City after she had called 911 herself and said that she believed that someone was out to get her and that the devil was trying to attack her. She denied having any type of mental illness before she hung up the phone with dispatch. Police were then dispatched out to the home to conduct a welfare check, and when officers arrived, they found that blood was leading up to the home and on the front steps, and they could also hear a woman inside singing very loudly. Officers knocking on the door, and the woman was refusing to open the door, and police said that the louder they knocked, the louder that she sang. Police had also been told by dispatch that there were at least 3 children that lived in this home with their mother, but the children had not been seen by anyone in a few days.
And we want to warn you that court documents reveal some graphic information. You may want to mute your television if you do not want to hear this.
So the officers were looking around the perimeter of the home since the lady would not open the door. And one officer looked through a window, and he was absolutely horrified when he saw what he thought was a portion of a child's body in the kitchen area of the home. So, for the safety of any children that may be remaining inside, police forced their way in through the back door. Once inside the home, police found Tasha Haefs. She was sitting in the floor and she had blood on her legs and feet. She also had several cuts and scratches on both of her hands, as well as a cut and a puncture wound to her right thigh. And laying beside Tasha in plain view were 2 knives and a screwdriver, and both of these were covered in blood. Later searching, the officers found the body of a decapitated child. This child was later found out to be Tasha's youngest son, 6-year-old Carvel Stevens. And then further searching of the home, the family dog was also found decapitated in the basement. Talking with police officers, Tasha did admit to killing her son in the bathtub and then later decapitating him.
We are human too. We know it's our job to go in and do these things, but to act like that doesn't have an impact, that's not realistic, because it does. I know what happened in this situation, but this is an opportunity to remind people that yes, if people need help, even if they're not asking for it, it can't hurt to.
On Wednesday, February the 16th, Tasha Haefs was charged with first-degree murder of her son and armed criminal action. She was arraigned on Thursday, February the 17th, and the judge ordered that she did undergo a mental health evaluation. The results of the ordered mental health evaluation will determine when she will be back in court.
Our grown-ups, we need to stop. These kids are our future.
Hubert Hawthorne says the young boy who was killed is his grandson. He says mental illness and drugs played a role in the 6-year-old boy's death.
It's a lot of things, and we all know it, so don't be ashamed to say it. And let's all address the situation to where we can get the help from God. And I understand that we are all struggling with trials and tribulations in our life, but this mental issue is going too far.
There has been no motive given for what has happened here, but relatives of Tasha says that she has spent many years working through drug addiction, depression, and severe trauma. Also saying that the days leading up to this crime that Tasha seemed relatively fine from their perspectives, and they were just totally shocked to learn of the brutal crimes that Tasha had actually confessed to doing. One of Tasha's very close friends, as well as the godmother to all three of her children, told reporters in an interview that Tasha was a very loving person. She was a very loving mother, and then for it to spiral like this, it's just not right. It just doesn't make sense. However, Tasha's mother, Tasha Haefs, had a bit of a different story to say about her daughter when she was interviewed. She said that her relationship with her daughter was mostly just over the phone because they actually lived hundreds of miles apart now. She went on to say that she has at some point seen her daughter displaying warning signs that something was wrong. Mother also does not believe that Tasha ever sought any sort of mental health counseling. She said that she believes that her daughter was recently experiencing hallucinations and breaks within reality. And in the aftermath of Carbell's death, she started to hear more stories from other people about her daughter that has really raised alarms. She recently heard from her oldest grandson, which is Tasha's oldest son, that they had went to one of their relatives' houses recently. And he said that Tasha was talking about living in a quote-unquote straight-up devil house. She was yelling at this relative about putting her and the children in a bad situation in that house. Okay, while all this was going on, little 6-year-old Carbell was standing there listening, and she said she looked straight at him and said, "Like this devil," and pointed at little Carbell.
Homes, candles, and stuffed animals now serve as a small memorial for a 6-year-old victim. And only a matter of steps away is a mark of blood on this door.
Sherry's mother also spoke to Tasha's boyfriend, who is the father of her 2 oldest children. And she spoke to him by phone from the halfway house where he is currently living. Tasha's mother and Tasha's boyfriend are working currently to find legal help for her. And looking deeper into Tasha's childhood and her past, it was also revealed that Sherry, who is Tasha's mother, is now 64 years old. Now, her mother had spent time in federal prison when Tasha was young. She was convicted in federal court in 2001 for possessing methamphetamine with the intent to distribute and sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison. Now, she's also spent time in Iowa jails for earlier drug offenses as well. Now, during this time, Tasha was living with her father. She also has lived in Iowa's foster care system. She would move from place to place until she came to live with one of her best friends since 6th grade, Javon Crittenden. Now, Javon and Tasha first met in the 6th grade and they attended school together. Her family took Tasha in as one of their own, and she has always considered her a sister. She went on to say that Tasha has always just felt kind of alone in her family, and she felt like the black sheep. Tasha has also had earlier brushes with the law herself. Her court records in Iowa showed that she pleaded guilty to traffic offenses and other drug possession charges. Her family says that she does use marijuana, but she has struggled in the past with methamphetamine addiction. Javon says there were occasions where Tasha had told her that she was hearing voices when she was on drugs, but in recent years, she had worked to keep herself clean for her kids. At one point, Tasha had faced the possibility of losing her parental rights in Iowa when the CPS had become involved with her. But in recent years, she has been able to maintain a stable job and provide for her children. Javon went on to say that the last time she saw all of them in person was in September of 2021. She had came to visit for her birthday, but she does hear the kids all the time and sees them on their FaceTime calls. She said earlier this month, she had seen all of the kids during a call, and they were all in the background, just relaxing and chilling out before bedtime. Javon went on to say that she would never, ever imagine that Tasha would harm her own children. And she wonders if Tasha is even aware of everything that's transpired to this point. She said if the sister that she's known for 20 years ever comes back to reality and realizes what has happened, it's going to be the worst nightmare of her entire life. She said, I'm so sad that it has came to this. I'm always going to be there for the kids, as I always have. And I'm not turning my back on her either, because we all go through things. And the Tasha I know would have never, in her rightful mind, ever even touched a hair on that little boy's head. All three of Tasha's children were born in Iowa. The two oldest children do have the same father. Now, he has spent the past 11 years in federal prison, but he is now in a halfway house. Okay, Carvel's father is currently in prison today. Tasha has always been a single mother for the most part, but in recent years, she did decide to move to Kansas City so she could be closer to the extended family of her two oldest children. Now, this is a developing story, and as we get more details on how her mental health evaluation turned out, we will get more details about when she will be appearing in court next.
County Prosecutor Jean Peters Baker responded to the death as well. In a statement, she said, "The community now knows some of the terrible details of the death of this 6-year-old child. It takes our breath away. My office, as it always has, pledges to do everything in its power to bring justice in this young boy's murder. We will not shrink from our responsibility."
A tragedy that's broken hearts. You can see back there, people have been putting out balloons and toys for that family, and people have been adding to it throughout the day.
There's sadness in the colorful balloons and flickering candles left outside a Kansas City home.
The family of Carvel have set up a GoFundMe, and at the time of this recording, this is where the GoFundMe sits. The GoFundMe is set up by family, and it goes on to say that the money will be used for little Carvel's burial needs and for some assistance. If you would like to donate to this, I will leave the link in the description box below. Thank you all so much for listening, and until next time, this is Unjustified.